Hi, this is our lesson on the digestive system. First, start by taking out the worksheet that I gave you that includes this picture on the digestive system, and we're simply going to label it. So we start with the mouth and the esophagus, down to the stomach and the pancreas, then the small intestine, then over here on the left the liver, then the gallbladder, the colon, or large intestine. A lot of people know that as the large intestine. Then this is the little appendix right here on the end of the large intestine. Then we have the rectum. And then last but not least, everybody's favorite, the anus. The next few slides are going to talk about what each of these organs do for the digestive system. And so in the notes section, that's right underneath this picture, that's where you're going to take these notes on what each of these organs do. The first one is the mouth. The mouth breaks down food into smaller pieces by chewing it. And it also, your saliva actually begins breaking down the carbohydrates into simple sugars. Do this quick little experiment. Take a saltine cracker and chew it, and chew it, and chew it, and chew it, and chew it. And you will realize after about a minute that it actually starts to taste sweet. And that's because your saliva is breaking down the carbohydrates in the cracker and turning them into sugar. The esophagus is simply the way that we transfer the food to the stomach through peristalsis muscle contractions. That's why the food tends to go down instead of coming back up. Your stomach helps to break down the food even more, kind of churns it around and turns it around, but it also has a lot of acid, as you probably know, that helps to break down the proteins. The proteins are kind of tough little critters to break down, so that acid helps. Then the pancreas helps to further break down fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Plus, it also makes and releases insulin into the bloodstream that help to break down the sugar that you eat into glucose, which, if you remember, that is an essential component of cellular respiration, which is how we get our energy. The small intestine breaks down the food even more into kind of a liquid soupy type substance, and then it actually absorbs those nutrients into the bloodstream for us. Where the liver takes that absorbed nutrient and it takes those nutrients and breaks them down into all the chemicals that the body needs from the food absorbed in the small intestine. So it's kind of our little chemical factory. It also, the liver is very important. It's responsible for detoxifying any poisons that we put into our body. All the medicine that we take is technically a poison, and our liver helps to break that down so it doesn't actually do any harm to us. Alcohol is a poison. That's why people who drink too much alcohol tend to have problems with their liver. Also, the liver makes and releases bile into the small intestine to help digest the fat that we eat. The gallbladder stores the bile from the liver. That's just once it's created too much in the liver, it just kind of hangs out and stores it in the gallbladder. The large intestine, or the colon, that's where the body collects the waste and processes it for removal. And then the rectum will hold the waste when it's ready to be removed. The waste is stored in the colon until it's ready to be released. Once it goes into the rectum, that's where you feel it. That's where you get that sensation like you gotta go. And if you aren't at a place where you can go, then that sends a signal to the brain saying, hold off, let's just wait. And that's why the urge to go tends to go away after a few minutes. And then later on, when you're at a place where you can go to the bathroom, then you can release the waste from the rectum. And last but not least is the anus, where the waste is from the rectum is released. Just that opening. Everybody's favorite. All right, now the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to talk about nutrients. Those proteins, those carbohydrates, those fats, those nutrients. What does your body need? You always hear about all these vitamins and minerals. What does your body need? So on the back of the digestion paper, that's where you're going to take these notes. So first at the top of the paper, write nutrients, and then underneath that, write what does your body need? And then throughout this presentation, this last part of this presentation, you're going to see this symbol where that tells you that you do not have to write what's on that screen. Okay, I know, I thought you would like that. So the first one is nutrients. Okay, there are basically two types of nutrients. There are macronutrients, and there are micronutrients, which are like vitamins and minerals. And just like the words show, macro means those are the larger nutrients, and micro, okay, those are the smaller nutrients, or the ones that you need in a smaller amount. So, macronutrients, there are three kinds: carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Okay, what do you need carbohydrates for? And take note, this is not the part that you have to write. Can you write it? Sure, but you don't have to. Carbohydrates are your primary source of energy for the body. Proteins? What are proteins for? Well, proteins are good for all kinds of things. Makes movement possible. Major part of your immune system. Helps to store and transport materials in the body. Makes the hormones. Provides structural support for the body. Your DNA is made of protein, so proteins are essential. There's actually about 20 different kinds of amino acids that are made into proteins, 9 of which are essential, and most of which you actually get from your diet. You can't just make them in your body, you actually get them from the things that you eat. Fats, well, there are different types of fats. There are saturated fats, okay, like greases and things like that. And then there's polyunsaturated fat, the fat that you get like from vegetables, like avocados and corn oils and things like that. The polyunsaturated is the type that we need a little of. It helps in a lot of different things. Cell membranes are made of fats. Your body actually, if you do consume some saturated fat, like we all do, your body can convert the fat into energy if the carbohydrates are low. But like I said, polyunsaturated fats, cell membranes are made of the fats. It's involved in cells signaling each other. Your brain cells have a protective layer of fat called myelin sheath. That's pretty important in brain development, especially when you're little. That's why babies need a little bit higher percentage of fat than older people. Vitamins, okay, these are micronutrients, okay? What kinds of vitamins do we need? Vitamin A, C, D, E, K, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin B6, folate, vitamin B12, pantothenic, and biotin, and choline. These vitamins all have different functions. It would take too long to go over all the functions. I'm going to talk at the end a little bit about how to make sure that you get all of these in your diet. And then minerals: calcium, chromium, copper, fluoride, iodine, iron, magnesium, manganese, molybdenum, phosphorus, selenium, zinc, potassium, and sodium, and chloride. All of these things are all involved with different functions in your body as well. But overall, if you look at all the vitamins and minerals, what do? Okay, they help the macronutrients do their jobs. That's essentially it. Okay, so all these vitamins and minerals help the macronutrients, the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats to do their jobs. One interesting thing that you might note with what's the difference between a vitamin and a mineral? Well, if you look at a periodic table, okay, that's sort of a periodic table, you will find that minerals appear on the periodic table, okay? Like calcium is over here, sodium is over here, copper is in here, All of these you'll find directly on the periodic table. They are an element on the periodic table. The vitamins, though, the vitamins are more of a molecule, a complex molecule that you can't just find a single one of on the periodic table. So, how much of each of those macronutrients do you need? Well, it's recommended that about 45 to 65% of your calories come from carbohydrates. It's recommended that about 10 to 30% of your calories come from proteins. And then try to keep your fats to 25 to 35% of your calories. And try to have a good chunk of those fats be polyunsaturated fats, the fats that come from plant type products. Now wait, we forgot something. Water. You need water in your diet. So, why do I need water? Well, water helps to maintain your body temperature. It helps to transport the nutrients to all the different cells in your body, and it helps to remove wastes. Water is quite essential for our bodies. So, how much water do you need? Well, your age group needs a little over 2 liters per day. A little of which you can get from your food, but most of it you need to drink. Okay, 2 liters, that's this one, the big one. Okay, these bottles right here are a liter bottle. A liter, let's see, most of the, like a 16-ounce bottle is usually about half a liter. So you need to try to get, if this right here is an 8-ounce glass of water, okay, you need 8 of these. Okay, that's approximately how much water you should be drinking a day. Now, how do I make sure I get all my nutrients? This is all too confusing. I've got all these minerals I need to keep track of. I have all these vitamins I need to keep track of. I got to make sure I get the right percentages of fats and proteins and carbohydrates, and I might as well just forget it. No, there's an easy way. There's a very, very easy way. The government just came out with this great new little plan called Choose My Plate. So basically, your goal for your day is to make sure that you get half of your calories from fruits and vegetables. So each meal, try to have half your plate be fruits and vegetables. And notice that the little vegetable pie here is a little bit bigger than the fruit pie. You do want to try to get a little bit more. And then grains and protein would be the other half. Okay, try to make as many of your grains whole grains. A lot easier to digest, much more beneficial to us, gives us more fiber. And then a small serving of dairy with each meal. And of course, if you can't get each of these with every meal, try to, overall throughout the day, make it so that half of your foods, half the foods you eat is fruits and vegetables, half is proteins and grains, and then a small serving of dairy. All right, and we are going to be doing more with this My Plate in class when we analyze the diet that we're going to keep track of. If you want more information ahead of time, though, I highly recommend going to this website, choosemyplate.gov. I'll see you in class.